Your excitement matters. Came here to fully express yourself in a multitude of different ways. Doesn't matter what else is going on in the world or what other people are doing. What matters is what you're doing in your life. This is not a time about closing down. This is a time about expansion. It's about blossoming. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Reflection Connection podcast. I'm your host, Vince Jameson. So today we have an interesting conversation. This is going to be episode 11, and I'm entitling it Follow Your Bliss, Follow Your Passion, Follow Your Highest Excitement. And this isn't a new concept for many, but I think it's worth having the reminder, especially in the times that we're living in. We have so many different distractions going on, so many things going on in the world and in the news and in our lives. It's very easy to get caught up in having to do and what you should do and what is expected. And there are different aspects of ourselves that can be expressed at different times. And I think that every aspect of ourselves should be ideally expressed when appropriate. One consideration that I want to definitely emphasize is I think everyone, as much as you can, it's important to really prioritize well-being, but also to fun, ease, playfulness, joyfulness. What are the things that you enjoy doing? What are the things that maybe you would like to do? What are the things that maybe you can do today or tomorrow or Friday and Saturday, right? Add those things in, things that you used to do that maybe you don't anymore, or maybe you can push into something a little bit deeper, right? If you're into hikes and nature, maybe you can go and explore someplace you've never been. Maybe it's just a further car ride out, or going to a meetup or a class or something, whatever's there for you. I recently have had a bit of this going on in my own life where I tend to go down one road and I'm feeling the energy of it. I'm feeling the passion behind it, and I'm enjoying the process. But sometimes there are different facets of my personality, of my makeup, which need to also be expressed. And they don't always have room in the busyness of the day-to-day of responsibilities and commitments. And so what I've been doing recently is I've really worked towards observing what is coming up for me, observing what I'm attracted to, observing who I'm attracted to. And I'm not talking about necessarily a physical attraction, although that can be something as well, but I'm talking about what are the qualities of the people that I'm looking at online, and what are the qualities of the people that I'm looking at within my life, and what do I feel a kind of a pull toward? And there's definitely a certain overlap. There's definitely a certain, I guess, momentum in certain areas or certain types of personalities. But more recently, I found myself being attracted to people who reminded me of certain aspects of myself that were more highly expressed when I was younger. Things that were maybe 20 years ago, a part of my life. And although I certainly don't want to live that period over, nor could I, there are aspects that can be extracted from it, right? And so it's not the literal interpretation at it and sitting with it and what aspect of this is speaking with me. And for me, can really be boiled down to it's beyond fun, but it's a playfulness, experimental creativity, a carefree kind of abandon, and also a celebration in certain regards of certain aspects. And these are things which I've been sitting with and I've been observing, and I've been looking at, well, how can I incorporate these in my life? And I've come up with that. I'm starting a new business venture. And so, yeah, that along with having some adventures and moving. And I think that it's really important for us to, on a regular basis, reevaluate where we are and where we're going, and Maybe we had one goal in mind that we've been pushing toward or working to, and maybe the energy is just kind of fizzled out of it. And that's okay, right? You don't know the bigger picture. Maybe that energy, that momentum, that drive was meant to take you to this place so that you can then pivot from this place and you had that experience. Or it might have given you a taste of something you wanted to explore, and now you can decide if you want to continue down that road. Lots of different possibilities within this in the human experience, but I think that some people get a little rigid in this is the direction that I'm going towards, and these are the commitments, and I'm going to continue down this road, even when it doesn't feel right. And I'm not talking about sidestepping responsibilities. I'm not talking about being careless or even being fickle, overly fickle. What I'm talking about is actually tuning into yourself and really evaluating, is this still right for me? Is this relationship that was once right still right for me? Is this path still right? Is this job still right? And there isn't always a right and wrong, right? But there isn't. There isn't always a right or a wrong, even though I'm using that language. It's more of, does this fit with who I am now? Because hopefully you're moving along and evolving in your own pace, in your own way. And so it doesn't make sense that what would have fit for you years ago would fit for you now. Similar to a child who is playing with certain toys, and as it gets older, it'll play with either different toys or kind of abandon its toys for a while. But then you might get to a point where you might be later on in life and you might want to collect those toys that brought you so much joy, or maybe start collecting the toys that maybe you weren't able to have when you were a child. Or there are different scenarios like that, and we've all heard of this, right? Like, 60-year-old men collecting Star Wars figures. And yeah, there's no rules to it, but it's really just tuning into what would make you feel good, but in an authentic way. What would be representative of where you are and where you want to be, and what would you like to explore from this point, because you are always new in this point, in this day, even though the circumstances on the outside experience might look similar or almost exactly the same. You are always changing on a very key and true level. And so, yeah, I really recommend everyone taking some time to just explore yourself, look at some things that you normally wouldn't. Dive into some older times when you were in a very happy place. And it might be something which, many people have enjoyed their college years. I certainly did. And I was wildly, they were incredibly fun, but they were also incredibly self-destructive. And so you don't have to take the self-destructive part. Hopefully you'll keep that where it was, right? And just learn from it. But there are elements of the fun that maybe can be revived. And it doesn't have to be, again, a literal interpretation of trying to relive those years, although maybe you could listen to some music from then or whatever to jog it. But what are the feelings that were being felt or expressed then, or the ideas or the certain ways that were being expressed that you aren't, because you've moved into a different mode for a long time. And maybe you could reincorporate those in an abstract way that's a better fit for where you are now, who and where you are. So yeah, those are my thoughts today. I'm going to make it pretty quick, but just wanted to share that. And this is something that I'm definitely taking on. And I think it's really important because we have a lot of nonsense going on in the world, and we don't need to get into that, but it's really important for us to tune into our joy and tune into our happiness and tune into our peacefulness and tune into nature and tune into what's working. Because so much of that wants us and feeds on us tuning into fear and being depressed and feeling overwhelmed and all of those negative qualities. So cultivate your joy, cultivate what's exciting to you. And as so many have spoken about, including Abraham with Esther Hicks or Bashar with Daryl Anka, it's finding your passion, following your passion in the moment, and it doesn't have to be some grand life experience, but just whatever it is. Whether right now your passion might be getting up and going outside for a walk, and then your passion might be, you know what, I really want to go to the supermarket and just buy a snack. Like, and that might lead to another thing, and that might lead to another thing. So yeah, cultivate that, and also take time, especially in the morning when you first wake up, for the first hour and before bed, to concentrate on what's wanted, concentrate on what's working, concentrate on what you would like to see more of. Hold yourself and your vision of self in high regard, and your vision of self as being well and enjoyable and carefree and whole and healthy, and your vision of the world, because there are lots of places that are. I encourage everyone to turn your eyes away periodically, long periods, from the doom and gloom and the culture of war and ugliness, and focus on what's wanted. Send your energy there, because that's where you'll be. And that's where you'll be energizing and emphasizing with your very potent and very important attention. So I hope this was helpful. Until next time, I'm always here reminding you of all that you already are and all that you're already connected to. Until next time.